Hello, welcome back my Flora Garden Escape channel. I am happy to have you guys here. If you're new here, welcome. So today, part of our update on our seedling review, today I really wanted to take the time to go over with you our seedlings, see how they're doing. But not only that, I also really wanted to go over with you guys transplanting and how we go about getting our seeds transplanted from these little pods to the solo cups. Now here you can see that I did go ahead and get one transplant. This is actually going to be our lavender that we got germinated, and this is going to be actually our third lavender we germinated from seed. So I'm getting better with the herbs and germinating from seeds and things like that, so I'm super happy with that. But now what we're going to do is I'm going to take you inside here, show you what the seedlings look like before we go ahead and get them transplanted, and then we'll go ahead and get started with getting everything transplanted. So let's get going. Oh, and really quick, don't forget to hit that like down below. Don't forget to leave us any comments. We always love hearing from you guys, and don't forget to hit that subscribe and that bell down below so that way you don't miss out on any of our new videos. But let's go ahead and take a look inside this grow tent. So as you guys can see, things are definitely growing. They're looking good. And y'all can say hello to Mrs. Scarecrow. She is joining us today in our video. As you guys can see, she's waving at you there. So as you guys can see, everything's definitely germinating. We have a random tomato seed that got in the soil. So we do have a tomato plant. We got a transplant. Oh, looks like another one here and here. Don't know how these things got in here, but hey, they're in here. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to transplant this cantaloupe, these cantaloupes along with these tomato plants, as they are definitely getting bigger. We're also going to transplant the eggplants that are over here as well, so that way we can get those into bigger solo cups. We're not going to worry too much with these guys here as of yet, especially the mint, as those the roots are still very shallow and they're too little. I don't want to really mess with as of yet, but we will get those out of here soon. So let's go ahead and get started on these guys. Alright, so I already have my solo cups here. I already put soil in them, and I already put some water in them as well. Now keep in mind, anytime you transplant, you are going to want the soil to be wet. You're going to actually want to water the seedling for the next 5 days so that way they can adapt to the new soil that they're in. For us, we make our own soil from compost, peat moss, and things like that. So since it's the same soil they start in, they won't have to adjust too much into the solo cups, which is also a plus for us. But now let's go ahead. First things first, I'm going to take my kitchen knife here, and I take the handle end and I poke it into the solo cup like this. I make a good opening for the soil pod to go into, because it looks like a lot of these are individually already germinated. So I'll just make the hole like that, and then we'll plop that sucker in there. So first I'm going to take out this first section, since these guys are already ready to go. I'm going to set them off to the side. Now what I'm going to do here for you all is show you how I get the seedlings out. So we're going to start with the Hales cantaloupe, and all I do is I squeeze the bottom here of it, kind of pushing it out, and then I'll grab right here to lift it up, and as you can see, the whole thing will come out. So I'll just plop that in there. And you don't want to push too hard to where you can damage the roots. You're just going to push slightly, not putting too much pressure. Make sure you do get it all covered up, get it adjusted in there. And then I'm going to show you guys how it's going to look once we put it in there. Alright, there we go. Now we have our first Hales cantaloupe transplanted. I'm going to take my handy dandy marker here, and we're going to write Hales cantaloupe. Now a lot of the times you'll see me have initials, like this one has IB for iceberg lettuce, as iceberg lettuce used to be in this solo cup until we transplanted it out into the big garden. But now it's going to be our Hales cantaloupe. So we got it now labeled with the Hales cantaloupe marking on there. And we're going to set it up here with our other lavender that we've already transplanted. And now we're going to move on to the next one. You're going to kind of do the same process over and over. It may seem time consuming at times, but it definitely gets the job done. Now we're going to go ahead, I'm going to show you guys again. You just pinch the bottom there, slightly pinch it, and then you pull it out. Oh, but careful not to pull too hard. You can, especially when it's at that corner like that, because it should just come right on out of there just due to it being in the corner. But I didn't break any of the roots. Now I am going to point out this as well to you all. When you go to transplant, when you're starting your seeds indoors or outdoors in a tray in a little greenhouse like we are, it doesn't necessarily, you definitely want to transplant once these two leaves are poked out and you have that third leaf there. Once you see that, they're going to be ready to be transplanted. And they're going to start, you don't want them to get root bound, because the root bound will start to be the swirl that you get at the bottom of the cup, at the pod. You definitely don't want that, because it can definitely stunt the plant. That's one thing you're going to definitely want to avoid. Now, the younger you do it and the less the roots have grown already will be better. Just due to it'll be a lot easier to transplant it. And if you are like us here at the Flower Garden Escape, we like to keep and savor every single seed that we germinate. So by thinning them out, we won't necessarily cut them. We'll try and separate the roots from each other and separate the plants the best to our ability. So that way, we get more from our seeds instead of just so many, which helps us out in the end. Alright, so we got these two done. I'm going to move on to this next one. And I think I'm just going to write Hales on it. I'll know what it is with just the Hales there. The other one is just germinating, so I'm going to leave it in there for now. I would go ahead and germinate, go ahead and take these guys out. Due to there being another seed in here germinating, I'm just going to put that seedling in a small little pot and let it continue growing in that small little pot, and then I'll transplant it again. So I'm going to save that for later, but what I am going to go ahead and do is I am going to go ahead and get this guy right here transplanted. With him being randomly in there, I won't be able to do too much with him, just because it's an I don't know tomato. And with the I don't know tomatoes, we just kind of plant them and we grow them and we kind of just see where it goes from there. Pretty much like a mystery plant, if you will. So it looks like it's still very young. It wasn't fully in all the soil, so that's definitely good. Now, one thing you want to always remember with tomato plants is the more that the stem is buried in the ground, the more of a root system it's going to be able to take, because those little hairs at the bottom of the tomato plant will turn into roots. And I'll show you here on this one, matter of fact. So all these little hairs right here, as you can see, are little hairs. Those will turn into roots once they're covered up in soil and they're getting water. They'll instantaneously do it. It's not something you can control from happening, but it will take place. So that one we just got transplanted. I'm going to show you how I did it. As you can see, more of it is in the pod. It's not so much sticking up. I want more of a root system for this tomato. So that way it can get bigger, it can stand it, it can hold itself up and all that. This is an IDKT. I don't know tomato. If things like this happen, especially with our soil, because we've had tomatoes in our soil, in our compost that the worms have ate up and probably pooped the seeds back out. We do have our big compost pile, and there could have been tomatoes in the garden that fell off that birds picked at and then pooped it into our big compost. So there's really no way of knowing how it gets there. We're fully known for getting random tomatoes in random spots. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. So this one I did say I was gonna save for later, and that's what I am gonna do. So I'm gonna just put that back in there and let these guys finish soaking in that water and getting the light. But what I am gonna go ahead and do is transplant this parsley right here and get this guy out of here, because he's definitely getting big. As you can see, roots were starting to go down to the bottom. So we're gonna just go ahead and get him transplanted. Just like that. Alright, so that'll be that for that one. And this is our celery. Let's go ahead and label this one. No, not celery, this is cilantro. Alright, and there's that. Alright, so we got those done. Now we're going to come back later and do these others. We got to go really quick and grab some pots, different size pots. These will not work as they are just a little too big. So we're going to go out, grab some more pots, and check on the seedlings that we have in our miniature greenhouse outside. So let's go. Alright guys, so we are coming outside to the little greenhouse to see how everything is doing in the little greenhouse. See if we got anything germinated yet. We're going to be doing a lot of work to our garden space over here. We got to till a lot of things up, till the ground, to get everything stirred up. And then we'll be able to start putting through some fertilizers through the garden to help fertilize the garden and get it prepped for the new season. So let's go ahead, flip you guys around, and check out the seedlings we started here in our little green tent. Alright, so nothing yet has popped up from our seedlings that we have in here. Looks like it still needs more time. So we'll come back later to check on these again. So let's go ahead and grab our pots and get back inside. Alright guys, so we're back inside. Totally lost my phone for a few minutes, so I went ahead and transplanted everything. So here is the giant tomato that I don't know which one it is, that I just transplanted. As you guys can see, I did the same thing with the last one by burying it more in, so that way these spurs right here on this on the stem can turn into roots. And then we did get the delicious 51 cantaloupes transplanted along with the little seedling, and I'm gonna quickly show you guys how I did it. So I pretty much, with the soil being wet, at times if it's wet the right amount, it'll just fall apart. And I took this little cup to break up the soil to get the new little seed out. Now as you can see, and I'm just gonna slightly move the soil, if you look right here, you'll see the little seed right there. I just slightly covered it up with the soil, and we're just going to leave it in our grow tent to keep growing. The others I went ahead and separated and put into this pot here. So it worked out tremendously, and then later today we'll go out and take these to the nursery. I'll take them to the greenhouse because we're not quite yet to really warm temperatures. We're still at times dropping below 45 degrees. So that's definitely detrimental to your seedlings because they can't handle anything below 45, just due to them being new seedlings and their roots still being very, very shallow to the ground. Now, what we are getting ready to do now, so we're not going to transplant the mustard seeds as of yet, just due to them not being ready. what I tend to do is I just look under here to see where our seedlings roots are, so that way I know which ones to transplant. And I have empty slots in our trays still, so that way I can pour water into the trays without pouring it into the pods and possibly hurting the seeds that are in the soil. So that works out great as well. And I'm just keeping everything really fertilized, wet, just to make sure everything does get to growing. Now when it comes to a lot of your herb seeds, you don't want to keep the soil moist because it likes a lot of the times dry soil compared to really wet soil constantly. So with some herbs, depending on what herbs you're growing, you definitely want to avoid not watering every single day and having it stay in water as well. Like for example, rosemary. Rosemary doesn't like for a constant wet soil compared to like the mint. The mint doesn't mind it so much. But we did get everything transplanted out of here currently. Doesn't look like anything new needs to be transplanted at this time. I don't want to transplant anything out of this pot yet. As you can see, there's still some seedlings growing. A lot of them do already have their 2 leaves, but I don't want to transplant them too soon just due to some more of those seeds popping out. And those are going to be our eggplant seeds that we have in those pots. Now what I am getting ready to do, let me get this back in here. Now what I am getting ready to do is see what other seeds we do need to get started, because it's definitely that time of season for us to really get everything to going. So let's see here. Looks like a lot of these are going to be the ones we're going to be starting. I did already start these, so these are already started, which is good. I don't need to start these again, except for because I started the strawberries, the petunias, and the spinach. So I definitely don't need to start these again. I already got those done. So I'll just need to do our California Wonders, our red California Wonders, pepper hot, cayenne. Here, I'll show you guys what it is. It's that right there. I could not say it to save my life. But we also got to start the sweet peppers and the Carnival blend sweet peppers. I think these two are actually going to be the same. This is more of just variety of colors compared to this one. So I think we'll start both of them. We'll do one half this side and the other half this side. I mean, they're both sweet peppers, so they shouldn't get too mixed up there. But we'll start these in these little pots here. So let's go ahead and just get this started. Alright, so I'm going to move this out the way. This is already a prep solo cup. I thought I was going to have more than I needed to do, but I don't. So, just going to get some of this soil from our soil mixture container that we have here. To get a lot of the soil, fill these trays up. So I'm just going to dump it. Remember, you don't want anything like this in here. We're just going to go ahead and pour this out, move that leaf, kind of squish this all in here. And remember guys, you don't ever want to just, once you put your soil in there, you don't want to just slap it down. You definitely want to make sure that it is pushed in there all the way, because then you'll have those air pockets and the seed could end up going further down into the soil. And you don't want it going too far deep, because if it goes too deep, it won't germinate because it can't break through the soil. So looks like we might just have enough soil here to do these 3 rows, and then that should be it. We gotta wait for more to germinate before we start any more seeds. Over the next week, if we don't have anything else germinated, what I'll then do is remove the blocks that don't have any seeds germinated in them, remove those, and get new seeds started in those soils in different slots and that. So there's that slot. Now with this, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna fill this tray all the way up, and then once these are filled, I'll take this out to our small green tent to have these seeds germinate out there in our small green tent that we were just at. So that way it's not totally full in here. I don't want too much space taken up in here, just due to the amount of things we're probably going to be getting ready to transplant, and in case we need to store any of them in here still during the time of the germination. Depending on the seeds and that, everything should be germinated within the first 3 weeks, and sometimes longer depending on the plant, but each plant is different and it does vary. So I'm just pushing down on the soil with my 2 fingers, getting it put in there evenly. Alright, now we are going to start with the orange sun peppers, which are these right here. These are our orange sun. Looks like, oh, so there's only 5 seeds in here. So what I think I'm gonna do with these seeds, I think I'm actually gonna put them in a small pot in here and do them in there, since there's only so many. So now let's just move on to our Kenya long slim peppers. So it should only take 10 to 12 days for these to germinate. So we should see something like within the next 10 to 12 days. There's not a whole lot of seeds in here either. Like, this is how many seeds they give us, and as you can see, they're very small and tiny. One of these seeds do not belong, but we'll stick it in here anyways. And I just do a pinch of 4 seeds in each thing. You don't need to go too crazy, because if all of them end up germinating, then you gotta thin them out, and that can sometimes be more complex than expected, especially if you don't transplant it as soon as those first 2 leaves come out. And let's see if we can just stay in there. Alright, I think in this pot I'm actually gonna just do 3 and then put the last 2 in this one, and then we'll slightly cover these guys up. And remember, you only want to put a little bit of dirt on top. You don't want to like totally cover it 6 feet under, because you want to make sure that seed can get germinated and it can sprout through the soil. So what I'm also doing with the pinch of dirt is I'm just slightly pushing down with my finger to push it into that ground, and it'll help get it into that soil. And then when we go to add water, we'll add it slightly at the very top, and then go through and water from underneath. If you have the option to do it underneath, please, I would definitely recommend doing so, because it's gonna save you a lot of losing a seed in that soil. So now we're doing our red California peppers. These are a very vibrant red. I loved these last time I grew them. Do keep in mind when you are growing peppers is that they do all start out green sometimes. Just because they're green doesn't mean that it's going to be their final color. As they do produce, they will turn their colors over time. So do keep that in mind when you are growing your peppers, to just give them some time, be patient. Don't be like me and rush through things and just go and say, oh, I want this pepper, I need to use this pepper for tonight's dinner. I mean, you can definitely do that. I won't stop you guys from doing that, but definitely do give them time if you want the full actual colors of them. So now we're just going to go through and put the soil in here on these guys. And I'm just doing a pinch. Looks like we'll have room for one more. I think I'm going to do the full 6 here of these peppers. with these first few peppers and then let these germinate. I like to have the more the pepper plants, the more peppers you're gonna see in the season. So that's why I'm probably filling all, that's why, not probably, that's actually is why I'm filling up all 6 of these slots with the certain seeds. And then what I'll come back through and do is label these once I finish putting in the seeds. The labeling isn't the hard part. It's actually getting the seeds in here and getting all this prepped. That's kind of the trickier part, because you got to do it right to a right T. If you don't, you could end up messing something up. And this here is, so we did small, slim, is here, and then I need another one, another label here, and this is red Cali P. Alright, got those labeled. And then our last one over here will be the green Calis. Green Californias. Now surprisingly, we do have a lot of pepper seeds of the green peppers, so if we ever run out of them, we'll be okay. We're actually getting ready to bag up some seeds to take with us at our next event that's supposed to take place on February 4th. In Havana, Florida, at the Tobacco Museum. So we're definitely excited to be attending that, and we'll hopefully see a lot of you out there February 4th. It is from 10 to 2, I believe it is. I'll leave all the correct times, frames, and dates and locations down in the description below, so that way if you guys are interested in coming out and seeing us, you are definitely welcome to do that. We'll definitely be out there. Now we're going to go ahead and finish this up, and then we're going to get these watered, and then that'll be that. So with this being the greens and then this the red, I definitely am going to make sure to get a label on them, because I want to make sure I know which one is which and I don't forget. Kind of like how I did my eggplant, I didn't put a label on them, but thankfully I'll know the difference between them just due to the order I know what I put them in. These will get turned around, I'm sure, and I'll get confused and forget, so I'll make sure to get that corrected here as well, so that way I don't forget and I'm not guessing at what the plant could be or what variety it could be either. Take the guessing work out of it. Alright, so we got that done, so now I'm going to go ahead and get the water, and then that'll be that. Alright, so now we're going to water. I got this jug right here. We're just going to slightly water here. Not too much, not go too crazy. You don't want to go too rough with the watering, because then you can have the seeds float to the top, like that just happened. And as you can see, sometimes with watering from the top, it pushes around the seeds. So I don't always recommend watering from the top. If you have to, I mean, do it. But if it's not a necessary, don't do it. Because it definitely does push those seeds around in that soil. But once we put this in here, we'll have like a little sprayer out by our green tent for us to be able to slightly water these pods. So that way we're not mixing up these seeds and getting them everywhere but in the soil, like some of these seeds are trying to do. But that'll take care of that. We'll let these guys sit here for the time being, and then we'll take those guys out to get out to the little greenhouse to start their germination process while they're starting it in here. So that's pretty much going to be it, guys, for this video. You got an update on the seedlings that we have out in our miniature greenhouse. We did a transplanting with our seedlings, that we just got germinated. So we're going to wrap it up here, guys. And until next time, stay growing, stay amazing, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and that bell down below so that way you don't miss out on any of our new videos. And until next time, guys, deuces.